Okay, let's talk about main propulsion shafting. The safety hazards involved are going to be the normal hazards that would require PPE. This is rotating machinery, but you should make every effort to have it not be rotating when you do your exam. Okay, the shaft arrangement we have today is pretty unique, so we're lucky. Here's the output drive of the engine, and it goes into this main gearbox. There are two things driven off of it. Down below on the lower end is the actual propulsion shaft that leads out here and goes back to a traditional shaft seal. The upper part of the gearbox has a drive shaft that goes to a shaft generator. You don't see these very often, so it's nice to be able to see one. Alright, today we have a shaft system that has a controllable pitch propeller, or a CPP system. The CPP system is a way to increase or decrease thrust by varying the pitch of the propeller blades instead of the speed of the shaft. It's usually a very high pressure hydraulic system. And here we have the attached hydraulic pump for the CPP system. It's attached to the gearbox and driven by it. You have a piping system associated with it. It also goes up through a cooling system, or a heat exchanger, if you will. Okay, what we have here is the shaft grounding system. This is a component within the cathodic protection system. As the shaft rotates, this is a silver band, and through silver and the use of brushes, like on a traditional motor, as the shaft spins, this thing is continually bonded to ground to prevent the buildup of electricity and voltages. Here we have the shaft seal. As you can see, it's pretty involved. I believe this one is a combination oil and seawater seal. We have two expansion tanks right here. These things have oil in them, and with the force of gravity, they keep a head pressure on the oil side of the shaft seal. On top, you can see that they have high level float switches in them, because you have to ensure they always have oil so that you can keep pressure on the seal. If the seal fails, then you could see oil starting to go out from the shaft seal, and the rainbow in the water would be evidence of a failure. The inability to keep your head tanks full of oil is an indicator that it's leaking. But here's a good shaft seal. Right there you have a thermocouple probe that can also measure the temperature of the shaft seal and be on the lookout for any heat increases. Okay, all CPP systems always have electric motor-driven hydraulic pumps. The gear-driven pump we saw below is always the emergency method of controlling propellable pitch. As you can see, we have two motors, a hydraulic sump tank, and just like the shaft seal system, the controllable pitch system also has hydraulic lines that go through the center axis of the shaft all the way back to the propeller. Since it's underwater, we also have to have a head tank to hold a static head pressure on the hydraulic system even when the pumps fail. That's what this head tank is. Okay, I'd like to take a minute now to talk about some special considerations when inspecting shaft seals. Earlier we spoke of a shaft seal type that is an oil-only shaft seal type. If you encounter these kind of shaft seals, make sure you engage the engineers and discuss the oil testing program. When you have oil-only shaft seals, they usually take samples of it on a regular basis, and they evaluate these oil samples to look for babbitt or small metal shavings to look for evidence of either wear or corrosion on the shaft bearing or where the shaft meets the bearing. Another thing to keep in mind is the oil system on the controllable pitch propeller system that we looked at. The engineers are also going to be paying close attention to that oil system, as water intrusion is a likely thing that could happen, and it's something that they avoid all the time. So oil systems, pay special attention. Okay, to summarize main propulsion shafting, we talked about the safety hazards involved down in the machinery space. We talked about just evaluating the physical condition of the shaft. We looked at the shaft seal and determined it was a oil and water shaft seal. We looked at the CPP hydraulic distribution system, both the attached emergency pump as well as the two electric hydraulic pumps for the controllable pitch propeller. If you ever encounter a system that uses clutches to engage the propeller shaft, just talk it over with the engineers. There are some special challenges on those systems when you encounter them. Now, we talked a lot about shafts today, and if you have any further questions, please talk to the verifying officer at your unit.